Hey folks, it's Angelique here from Bold House, and I wanted to pop in really quickly today and talk about pricing your employee training workshops and your leadership training workshops and those development programs that you're doing. Got to do this fast today because I'm right in between two half day virtual strategy days with our high end clients. And so I've got just a little bit of time, but I wanted to pop in real quick and talk about some tips to help you think through how you are really justifying the ROI, the return on investment of those employee training programs and those leadership training programs with your corporate clients and the other organizations that you guys are out there working with. Interestingly, Forrester Research, I feel like I've been following Forrester for 25 years now. My very first job in corporate, way back in like 2000, 1999, 2000, I was in analyst relations. So I've been following Forrester Research for a long time. And they just put out a new study along with HR Magazine, looking at what companies are spending per leader in their organization. If you divide all of their sort of leadership training spend across the number of leaders that they have in their company. And the average comes out to about $2,500 per leader, which might not sound like a lot, but when you think about all the leaders in an organization from manager on up, it's a lot of money. We know companies are spending about $365 billion a year right now on training, but it works out to about $2,500 per leader. So the question is, when you're thinking about charging for your programs, what do you charge, and how do you know what you should charge, and what is the ROI, right, of those programs? Because that's really what it comes down to in so many cases. So for those of you, hey, Luciana, good afternoon. It's good to see you. For those of you who really, really want to get into designing programs that you can charge top dollar for, make sure you join us on our masterclass on February 2nd, where we're going to be talking about how to build out these leadership training programs that are much more robust and come with a higher price tag. So want to share that with you right off the bat. So, one thing to think about when you are setting the pricing for your training programs is, are you essentially doing a once and done, check the box type of an offering? An organization might ask you to come in and do a 90-minute virtual training, or they might ask you to do a half day or even a full day, but that's it. It's just come in, do this one thing, and we're done. One, at Bold House, we teach you how not to end up in that situation, because it's really not even worth it, to be honest with you, in a lot of cases, to take those clients on for a whole host of reasons I'll get into in another video. But if you were doing that, if you were doing that sort of low-hanging fruit, check the box training, then you have to be realistic in the fact that without any pre-work, without any post-work, it really is a matter of checking the box. And so you're going to find yourself in a situation where you are commodity based pricing, because they can just price shop. Well, how much do you charge for a half day workshop versus how much this other person charges for a half day workshop? And at the end of the day, you're just going to come in, you're going to do your song and your dance, you're going to leave. And within 24 to 48 hours, our people are going to forget everything they learned anyway because of the forgetting curve, and their behavior is not going to change very much. And so, mostly, we're doing this just to show we're doing something, right? We brought in somebody. You guys were complaining about, conflict on the team, or you were saying the leaders didn't know how to delegate. So, we brought somebody in, and they came in and they gave you guys a half day workshop. So, what more do you want from us, right? So, you can kind of see why that's not usually a good client to take on anyway. But if you do, you really have to be honest about it and say, I'm going in, I'm helping them check a box on this. There's only so much ROI they're going to get out of it. And they can easily price, compare, shop on this half day or full day or 90-minute training. So I need to look at what the market is charging for this. And I need to really look at being at least comparable. You don't have to be the cheapest, you don't have to be the most expensive, but in that case you're in a commodity based pricing situation. Now, when we teach people how to have our proprietary capability, credibility, and capabilities briefings with clients, and they know how to take control of the conversation, they're not going to go in and do those kind of one off trainings. But sometimes it's inevitable. We get it. And if you do that, you have to look at what's going on in the market. But when you're co creating much more cohesive, integrated leadership training programs for your clients, and it isn't just a check up the box situation, now you can get into value based pricing where there is real value that you're bringing to these organizations because you're creating a transformation for them. You're really designing a program in such a way that it's fully tailored to their needs and to the goals and outcomes they want to see, the change in behaviors they want to see. And so you're really designing it from the beginning for them. You're delivering it in such a way that it's not just about a talking head telling them what they should do, but you're designing it in a way that has a long tail to it, that it's going to have some sort of consistency and reinforcement of new thinking, new mindsets, new behaviors, and accountability over the longer term. And when you get into that kind of a program, now we get to start having conversations about, what it really means to their bottom line, to have these new behaviors, to have these new skills, to have these new mindsets, to have these new strategic thinking approaches. Now we can truly have an ROI conversation, right? And so, one of the points that the analyst from Forrester makes around employee training and the investment specifically in leaders and about the spending of this $2,500 per person on average is really when you look at the ROI that could connote to that organization. It's pretty astounding. So on average, it costs a company anywhere from 50% to 200% of a leader's salary in order to replace them in the organization, right? It's going to cost between 50% of that leader's salary up to 200% of that leader's salary, especially if there's someone pretty high in the organization or with specialized knowledge, up to 200%. But let's just say for a second that you have 5 leaders, 5 managers, and they're in a corporate setting and they're each making $100,000 a year as a salary. If those 5 leaders leave, it could easily cost that organization $500,000 to replace those 5 leaders if the replacement cost is about 100% of their salary, right? If it's 200% of their salary and they're making $100,000 a year, now you're talking $1,000,000 to replace just 5 leaders in the organization. Now, if you caught my video that I shared a couple of days ago, and I taught from Chief Learning Officer magazine, right? And we were talking about the statistics around the percentage of leaders that are looking to leave their jobs this year. It is not out of the question. It's really not out of the question that departments and divisions and business units could be losing dozens of leaders this year, right? So the ROI is really there. If you can put a dent, just a dent in that problem for these organizations, if instead of losing 10 leaders that could cost an organization $2 million, if only 5 leaders left that organization, if you put a 50% dent in that problem and 5 people left instead of 10 people left, you could be saving the organization $1 million in cost. And if that organization was looking to get even a 10 times ROI on that, you could be easily looking at pricing a program at $100,000. And it would not be an out of the question investment for an organization to make, to spend $100,000 to reduce the number of leaders who are leaving their organization because you're helping them to create real transformational, lasting behavior change in their organization. but you can't talk about $100,000 investment. You can't talk about a $200,000 investment, a 300, a 500, $1 million investment for a large organization for a training program if the program is merely check the box, right? You really want to look at these cohesive programs that look at that long tail that's going to have the accountability and the reinforcement. So, we're going to be talking about what it looks like to design and develop those kinds of programs and how you can make sure the content that you're developing and the programs that you're developing are really to the level of being an award winning program. Award winning, not just because it's innovative, but because it actually drives tangible, measurable results for your clients. And that's just one of the many things that we're going to be talking about on our masterclass that we have coming up on your 6-figure door opener. Because when you design these training programs for employees and leaders the right way, you're talking about 6-figure opportunities as opposed to going into these organizations and selling a half-day workshop for, $3,500 or $5,500 or even $7,500, which is nothing to sneeze at. But when you could be creating a much more rewarding program for you to deliver, one that people really get something out of it, and you can sell it for 6 figures and up, why would you not do that, right? So we want to show you how you can do that, how you can really accelerate that process. And I'll tell you, if you're a keynote speaker, if you're a leadership coach or an executive coach, you're a service provider, you're any type of consultant, and you don't have these kinds of 6-figure offerings to take into companies, 6-figure offerings that are largely repeatable. Yeah, you can tweak them for each client, but that are largely repeatable into these organizations, then that is really just a huge, huge growth opportunity for you this year. So we would love to see you guys there. We will be there from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, February 2nd. And we're going to have some really hot off the press insights to share with you from earlier that week. Feedback that we're receiving from some large organizations about what they're looking for right now. So we have tons to share with you on February 2nd, but really think about the fact that when you're designing leadership and employee training programs, that you want to do it in a way that you're not there competing with what other people are charging because it's just a once and done. But it's really these transformational long tail opportunities where real change happens, right? Where real behavior change happens. So we're going to show you how to do that. And then you can charge a heck of a lot more for the programs that you deliver because the value is equitable to that, right? All right, you guys, time for me to hop on my next client strategy session this afternoon. So I'm going to go do that, but we will see all of you on the masterclass on February 2nd. I'll see you guys there.